All right, folks, welcome back to the garage. Another episode of Joe Doesn't Know What the Heck He's Doing. I'm going to be putting on the doors. I'm going to be hanging them. Just got some new to me hinges just to see how they line up, see how the body panels look. I want to do that before I start continuing to do more body work and obviously strip them down and all of that. Just want to make sure everything is squared away before I get really too deep into some of the other work I'm going to be doing. So I guess come along while I hang these things on the car and hopefully they look pretty good. So there may or may not have been an issue, and I just totally wasn't paying attention. You can see right here, this is for the upper, and then right here is for the lower. That's where the hinge mounts onto the A-frame of the car, or the frame of the car. And if you notice, they're big rectangular holes. There's nothing with a thread on the backside. And that's because on the backside, there's supposed to be a square metal plate that is tapped basically to receive the end of the bolts. So what I'm going to do, just temporarily, since this is just mock-up, got a whole bunch of fender washers, and what I'll do is I'll just put nuts and bolts on the car side just to, like I said, temporarily get it mocked up and see how the body lines look. Not sure if you saw the hilarity that was me trying to mount this door by myself, but I ended up having to use a combination of that stool, this garbage can, that jack stand, and that milk crate. But ultimately, got the door hung. Just, again, some temporary hardware. I don't even have all three bolts in the upper and lower hinges, but they are tight enough to hold it in place. And the whole intent is to make sure that these body lines match up appropriately with the fenders that are no longer there, and then obviously the quarter panels back here. So if you look, you know, it's not perfect, and that has to do with the alignment. But the body panel, or the body gap rather, is pretty good across the board. I'm pretty happy with that, actually, and pleasantly surprised, not gonna lie. Door opens just fine, and it creaks a little bit because the hinges aren't broken in. They're kind of rubbing against each other. But opens up just fine, holds itself in place just fine, closes, there it is, that's the noise, but it closes nice and smooth, lines up appropriately. I'm happy with that. I think it looks good. Not sure exactly the best way to do the other side. Since it's close to the door, I'll have to shift the entire thing over, but in the interim, I'm just gonna get the bumper back on, try and get it lined up, and actually tighten that down. It was very loosely bolted in before. So if I get the fender lined up, and then the hood lined up, that is Mustang, done, ready to drive. That was a lot of climbing in and out from underneath that car. All right, so we already looked at the door. Door looks pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. And then I started lining up the fender, and there was a really big gap right here. Like the fender was rotated that way or that way. That's probably easier to see. So instead of being, you know, nice and vertical, it was kind of cocked that way. So what I did is there's a bolt that comes in this direction, ties the body right here to the fender. There's a little tab in there. And there was a pretty big gap. So what I did is I loosened everything up, tightened that, and kind of used that as my reference point. And looking at it now, it's a little bit bigger on the top than it is the bottom, but nothing rubs. That's okay. I think what happened here is when the previous owners grinded that back, they may have just taken off a little bit too much material. You know, you can see, you probably can't see in there, but the little pieces of metal are split. So I might just need to fill that in just to close that gap a little bit and get it more consistent. Because from this body line down, it's pretty consistent all the way across the door. I'm good with that. And then up underneath here, I don't know if you can see, but there's a little bolt right there. And there's supposed to be a captive nut in there, and you can't get to it. It's in the rocker panel, it's sealed in. So what I ended up doing was putting a riv nut in there. I was thinking about just having it temporary until I get everything else squared away, but it's holding really, really well. I'm actually a big fan of riv nuts. So I might just leave it. We'll see. To be determined on that. And then what I did was I wanted to close the hood, which is a Shelby reproduction hood, which I'm really excited about. And what I started doing was taking a look at the back of the hood here. It was sticking up really, really far. And it's actually still a little bit proud, so there's some adjustment that needs to happen. But I'm actually okay with that because this isn't a final fitment or anything. But that's one thing I was trying to adjust. And then with the respect to the fenders, I was trying to get this body gap looking pretty good. And honestly, I'm very happy with that. I have no issues. But what I did to start aligning the hood was, I'll come over here, see if I can zoom in for you. So there are 3 bolts on the hinge on either side. There's the 2 on the bottom and then the 1 on the top. So I loosened all 3, both sides, which I did with the hood closed, or actually I did it with it open. Got out, closed the hood, and then I don't know if you saw, I put my bag on there to try and hold it down, crawled back underneath, tightened it down, did that a handful of times, and it's okay. It looks all right. But again, is this getting close enough is good enough is kind of the mantra right now, right? Don't let perfect get in the way of good enough. And that's really what I'm shooting for. So I'm actually pretty content. The body's lining up better than I expected it to, all things considered. I didn't hook up the bumper just yet. There's a couple bolts in here, but I know for a fact that matches because I had it bolted up before. So if I take a step back, I'll zoom out a little bit. Hold on, how do I do this? I don't know how to do this. Anyway, if we just take a step back, it's starting to actually look like a Mustang now. So really excited about that. Body panels are lining up pretty well on this side. I'll do the same on the passenger side, but I got to get everything out of the way and wheel it over this way. And then comes body work, undercoating, all of that fun stuff. So again, another episode of Joe Doesn't Know What the Heck He's Doing. Appreciate you coming along. Shorter video today, but there wasn't a whole lot for me to show. If you have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them for the 4 people that will watch this video. But I appreciate it and looking forward to getting the other door on. And like, comment, subscribe, YouTube, etc., etc. Appreciate it. I'll see you next time.